Good morning, everyone. I'm Grace, and this is Truth Be Told with Grace. It's first thing in the morning. The sun's not even up yet. My hair's not even fixed yet because I'm not going to bother. I'm in my messy clothes because I'm getting ready to go outside and clean coops. But before I do that, I'm going to make some Beak treats. I'm going to be making a variation of these. Don't they look so appetizing? Look at the worms. It should be noted that these are cold weather only treats. They will definitely melt in the summer and make a mess. All right, for these, so these are suet treats, which I think that some people are like, well, technically, if you do this or that, it's not suet. Okay, look, it's suet treats, and you need a little suet holder, and I'll put a picture up and a link in the description. So what all do you need? Well, let's see. Okay, over here I have some coconut oil warming on the stove, along with a little bit of the drippings from some ground beef that I cooked the other day. A lot of people will use a lot of grease in here and like bacon grease. For me personally, it just seems like that would have a lot of salt. This was just a lean ground beef, so there's not a lot in there. And of course I hadn't added anything to it, so there's no salt or anything. All right, so that's going to be kind of your base. I have mealworms, and I have some frozen vegetables, like a frozen vegetable medley. I have these soap molds that I had already from years ago when I tried to make soap and just failed. And so I just kept the molds, and don't worry, I washed them real good. And I have just some, a mix of treats here for chickens. Here's a little bit of scratch, and here's some sunflower seeds. Mine just end up being kind of like a hodgepodge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up all of these trays with just a conglomeration of what I just showed you. And there's people who, get more organic and stuff like that. That's, a little high end for me. All right, now as I do this, I'm doing it kind of in layers. So I have the layer of the vegetables, and I'm coming through with some scratch. Now, the more stuff you put in here, the less coconut oil you will need, and I'll tell you, it does add up. The coconut oil gets, it can use a whole lot of coconut oil, and I would prefer there to be more treats than oil in here. But that's exactly why it's a cold weather treat, because the coconut oil will turn to a liquid in warm weather. And I prefer to heat it over there on the stove because, you can heat it in the microwave. Microwaves heat unevenly, and it ends up being really hot, and you can melt your mold, depending on what kind of mold you have. And then the treat seed that I have over there can get kind of pricey, so I use it sparingly, kind of like the mealworms. I don't know why mealworms are so expensive, but somehow they are. And I think it's kind of a little bit different every time I do it, All right, so we're going to come through with sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds are not real expensive either. I actually bought a bag at Tractor Supply, and I had COVID at the time. And so I just bought it online and did that touch-free pickup. And I thought I was getting like a little 10-pound bag. And I ended up with like 50 pounds of sunflower seed. When he brought it out, I was like, oh my God, what have I done? I had so much. If you also notice, I have this whole setup on a baking tray. See? The reason for that is because these molds are floppy. Like, see that? And the first time I did it, I just did this on the counter. Then I attempted to pick up the molds to move it into the fridge so that it could set, and that was just a disaster, as you can imagine. I might have put a little bit too much. All right, so now we're moving to the treat seed. I'll be right back. And I have totally overfilled mine, as I do every time. But like I said, it's a little bit different every time that I do it. I got these mealworms at the local feed store, but they're just expensive. Didn't know worms could cost so much. All right. Now, I think my coconut oil is just about ready, and it does. So it's real important, guys, when you scoop out the coconut oil, scoop it into a different container. I mean, unless you're just going to use the coconut oil just for this, but don't take a spoon and be going back and forth. I mean, I know that seems like duh, but unfortunately, common sense isn't, if you know what I mean. All right, now I'm going to add the warm oil, and now it gets real messy. The dogs are chiming in. Oops, I just poured it over the edge because I wasn't paying attention. See, and it's another reason why I have it on a tray, because I'm just messy. I'm just messy. What did I drop a mealworm, Ramsey? Was it yummy? Okay, it's all yours. All right, so now I've already got a place. Got some places here that need a little bit more. I have already got a place settled or ready in my freezer, and you can do it in the fridge too. I just prefer the freezer, and I keep my once these are done, I'll pull them out of the mold and I'll put them in a Ziploc bag and keep them in the fridge or the freezer. 2 of these will fill up the little holder. All right. And I will show you what it looks like outside. All right, before we go out, I didn't have enough oil, so this is important. I had contaminated my spoon, so I had to get another spoon. And so here they are. They're very pretty, but some of them just don't have enough oil. If you heat up too much oil and contaminate your oil, now you can put this in like a measuring cup that's microwave safe, and you can microwave it. And again, depending on what kind of mold you have, that it won't melt your mold, but it'll bother these. But anyway, then it's easier to pour than the skillet, which I just kind of made a huge mess. But so here I am. So if you overheat oil, if you have too much, instead of wasting it, you can just put it in a Tupperware and use it next time. This is mostly done, and then I get to make another mess. And now we're going to go outside. I just want you to see how much coconut oil I've used so far, and I'm still heating a little bit more here. There's just a couple ones, like this one that's a little dry. This one's a little dry. These are looking pretty good over here, so you kind of want it to look like this. So by the way, you can do something similar in the summertime and just use water as your base. I don't put it in the suet holder because it will melt, but I just put it in little dishes, and it usually doesn't stay out there long enough to melt. They love it. All right, here's my Suet holder, and as you can see, they've gnawed the crap out of those. I just put those in, was it yesterday? And they've worn them out pretty good. But yeah, you can see it's kind of messy looking. Don't worry, as soon as it warms up, all this will melt right off. And it gives them something to pick at. I made way more of a mess than I needed to. I think that skillet, I really need a skillet that kind of has like one of those little pour lips, because I ended up just getting it everywhere. Anyway, so do as I say, not as I do. Hope your birds love it. Take care, guys. Bye.